That's the keyboard slide out. There's, I have some issues with the way it actually slides. Naturally you would pick up the device and you would naturally slide it from the bottom here. But if you slide it from the bottom here, it gets a little stuck actually, because I think you're pushing down on the slider mechanism when it should just be slid up. Because obviously the keyboard is below that, so there's a little recessed area in there. I think some of the slider mechanism might get stuck. I haven't read the manual, of course, why should I? But because I'm just a typical user. But I think Palm recommends you actually move the slider while pushing your thumb on the screen, because I think that's what they're trying to avoid. There is some gap, and there is probably a piece of mechanism that's getting stuck on something. So pressing here doesn't actually afford opening the phone naturally. So just get used to sliding it like that. In comparison, we're looking at another slider. Here's a G1. The G1, you're normally not hitting the screen with it because it's just covered with fingerprints to begin with. So you're normally just, pushing the screen up. So, just FYI on the screen mechanisms. Let me hide this email here. And let's do a little size comparison while we have this. So we have a G1 here. We have we can throw on a couple phones here. We have a Samsung Blackjack 2. So you can tell just size-wise, the Pre is just super tiny. Thinness-wise, it's almost as thick as a G1, but it's got nice rounded corners. It's a lot lighter. Obviously, it's a lot shorter. The feel in your hand is actually really good. When talking on the phone, holding it in your hand, you could talk with the screen closed or the screen open. Actually feels very comfortable. It's not too heavy, so it should be easy to hold for long conversations, or if you don't have a Bluetooth headset. So let's take a look at some other sizes here. You're looking at the Blackjack here. Yeah, the Blackjack, of course, it can be skinnier, but so you get some general size comparisons. And then one more, we could look at the BlackBerry Bold here as well. So the Bold a lot shorter, way skinnier, and the Bold's probably, overall it's probably the same thickness. And the Bold and the Pre probably weighs just a touch more than the Bold. In any case, so let's look at WebOS a little. I'm going to zoom in here a little so you guys can see what's happening. Hopefully the autofocus doesn't go too crazy. So, as you start, there is no Today screen. Hopefully maybe the Palm App Store, maybe some developers working on a Today screen. So right now you get no summary of your notifications. You will get you will get summary of notifications down here on the bottom right below the launcher there. If you have emails or text messages or IMs, but there's no summary on the main Today screen. All you can do is just show different wallpapers. So what's kind of interesting, once you start learning about the phone is, yeah, this is the screen area, obviously that's lit, but the screen area is also below where the lit area is. This is a gesture area where you can do swipes that will give you some feedback. You see the white dot there. That'll give you some feedback. And those swipes correspond to different actions in applications such as forward or back. And there's another swipe here for the launcher. So there's some apps, actually all apps will eventually go over this launch bar here, this quick launch bar, and they'll launch in full screen for obvious reasons. But they will not block the taskbar, at least in this position, in the horizontal position, or in the upright position, sorry. So you'll always have the time and status and battery. But there is, let me show you the quick launch bar. There's a gesture here that you start from the very bottom and you drag your finger up. And that, of course, brings up this cool ribbon where you could launch the same apps. It's the same launch bar you see on the bottom. It just happens to be overlaid on top of everything else when an app is running. And this launch bar is customized. You can go into the launcher, and in there you could drag apps into that launch bar. So you could change the apps that are in there. Now it's only only 3, because this button here is the actual launcher. So you can only put 3 different apps on there for now. You might be able to remove the launcher button, so you might be able to do 4. I haven't tried that yet. In any case, so the next part is, let me move on. Before we move on to applications, let's continue to focus on this main screen. I call it today's screen, but really